Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. What a bullish day guys, what a bullish day. Rotation continues and earnings season going into full gear with the banks. Lotto recap today, bullish day on the banks, big day for the banks. All the small cap, mid cap sectors going crazy. Real estate, home builders going crazy. Mega caps being sold off, semiconductors being sold off, a lot of money flow out of the semiconductors. So we're going to look at that as well. We have been discussing rotation from some time. So before I do that, just a quick introduction. Guys, all these trade recaps, I'm going to do a small quick introduction today because I'm trying to get the video out early. I have to go somewhere. So guys, all these trade recaps and teachings are from any trade ideas, any swing setups, investment ideas that I share on Twitter, my YouTube, or my community. All our trades are repeatable setups, a repeatable system. What is a system? How you trade. Setups is what you trade. We go by our repeatable setups and systems. My system, thousands of traders across the world are using to trade consistently with system and make profits in the market. Every morning, me and my team, we get up early. We create a game plan for the trade for that day. This was the game plan for today. Bunch of earnings. You see, we split it into earnings, marketplace, and then we split into upgrades and downgrades and some other news. Our main focus today was, of course, the earnings, and all of the banks were reporting earnings today. So we'll show you how we traded that. Apart from that, there was some upgrades and downgrades on various sectors like solar. Solar had some upgrades, and we'll take a look at that as well. In addition to that, we also provide what we call as our day 2, day 3 setup. In front of you, you can see the day 2, day 3 setup, UPST, AFRM. They were solid day 2, day 3 setups from our watch list, which we are going to discuss as well. JPM was another good day 2, day 3 setup, solid. So these day 2, day 3 setups are, I did a free webinar for everyone. It's based upon my repeatable strategy where we use the pivots and EMA Clouds to trade something that had news yesterday or earnings yesterday. Goldman Sachs was another one, now our number 1 day 2 day 3 setup. So we're going to discuss all that. Let's start with our first play. I'm usually on a voice first few hours of the market open, guiding everybody through various trades. Today mostly we had a solid day. We had a couple of losers in the morning. We tried to long mega cap, which of course we should not have because there was a rotation, but we still tried to long it and that didn't work. We cut them quickly. So let's start with a recap for the day. So all right guys, I'm gonna start with the rotation, talking about the rotation. So what is happening guys? So right now, like we discussed in my last previous videos, rate cuts are coming and elections are coming, and when we cut the rates, the smaller caps or mid caps are the ones where the money flows. Those are the stocks which run. I have covered that extensively in my previous video, so I'm not going to go back, but I'm just going to focus today on what was happening on the rotation. Of course, we will talk about our IWM trades, which is still going along, but just want to try to show with you what's happening. Look at the, so this is a Finviz map. You can look at the heat map, which tells you what is strong. So you can clearly see that they are selling Microsoft, Oracle, Nvidia. They're selling the software tech. They're selling the big 7, Google, Meta. They are selling the semiconductors. So in these sectors, there was definitely no long today. There was no long, right? You see Micron has been dropped quite a lot as well, 2% today. So there was definitely no long in this sector. So the long was today was in a lot of these other sectors like banks. The biggest sector was the banks, the financials. So that was the biggest sector which was showing full strength here. You can see here the banks dark green, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and you can see Citibank. That was strong. Visa was strong, of course. And on top of that, the regular softwares were okay, but since the QQQ NASDAQ is mostly this area, the tech, that's why QQQ was weak. But apart from those big 7, there was definitely strength in Dow Jones. So basically what is Dow Jones are all those big stocks like UNH, Goldman Sachs, and we had Caterpillar, which was strong. So you can clearly see where the money is flowing, and it has been happening for some time now, right? If I if I look at 1 week performance, you see what is green from 1 week. You could clearly see that tech and semiconductors and the communications has been weak from 1 week, right? So it's the money is flowing out and money is flowing in those other sectors. So we can always look at what kind of ETFs are strong. If that tells you what sector is strong. So if I can clearly see that financials is a big green, gold is going crazy, a lot of money is flowing in gold. I posted a chart on that as well. You can see the small caps going well, US small caps, IWM, and all those small caps ETFs. You can clearly see them here and understand how the money is flowing, where the money is flowing. You can see Bitcoin is going crazy. So you can clearly see the Bitcoin has a very good crazy strength. So that's what you do when you know what is strong. That's where you focus on. You focus on the small caps. Either you're investing, trading, day trading. You focus on the crypto. Either you are investing, day trading, whatever you do. Gold, you focus on the gold. So you look for that strong sector to long. You stay away from technology. You stay away from semiconductors, because right, they are not going to show you that strength. Yeah, so XL was green, but you stay away from them because you know that they are weak, right? And you can see inverse of the small caps is selling off, TZA. So this is how you track everything. So learn that. So we discussed this. Now we'll go to our trades and see how we made money today, because we knew which sectors are strong and where to focus on. All right, let's start with our best trade for the day, IWM. So as you guys, I already talked about the strength in IWM, how the rotation is happening, how the mid caps and the small caps are getting the flow. You can watch my yesterday's video or the previous day video. We talk about this IWM swing, also a swing idea. You can see the weekly chart breaking out of here and pushing higher. I'm just going to focus on the day trade today on IWM, so I don't spend too much time because on here. All right, so what are we looking at? So we are looking at, we are holding the 1 hour EMA Clouds. I talked about it yesterday as well. We hold the trend continuously, right? So we are still bullish. We are still holding the swing. No need to cut it and let it trade. And what do you see here? We are gapping up. This is our range. This is our range. I see that it's breaking out of this range. This is the pre-market range. Then I know my risk is 219. So I give a risk of 219. I tell everybody to long it. My first target is 222 and my next target is 223.40, right? So we met all the targets and my final target was 225. I told everybody to roll the profit and swing it overnight to the 225 calls. We made over more than 100%, few 100% trade on the IWM all day. If you invested, even if you put $1,500 in IWM, you probably made $2,000 by end of the day, or even $3,000, depending upon what options you were trading. You see it pushed here. The first trade was always into 10 a.m. We always get a 10 a.m. pullback. You see the 10 a.m. pullback. I actually thought we broke the 512s. I was looking at the wrong time frame. We did not. We held the 512s. So you add back. When you see this bounce, you see this candle, you add more, or you add more on this breakout, and all day you do not cut as long as we hold the 512 EMA Clouds. There is no reason to cut the position, right? What I'm saying here, I said do not cut, no cut as long as 512 holds. That's what I told everybody. So that was a big win for us, IWM all day, and swing winner as well. Swinging from 200 psychological, the swing, you hold the swing as long as the 1 hour clouds hold. Let's go to the next one. All right, so I'm gonna put together a bunch of the trades that we already had. So these were all the bank longs, right? So banks, as I talked about the strength, right? The strength in banks. So what are you looking here? You're looking at this KRE, which is a regional bank ETF, how strong it is, right? You can either trade the stock ETF, or you can trade the individual stocks, or you can trade the ETFs. And what are we looking here? We are looking at finance ETF, the big banks, right? So you see how they are breaking out, probably out of all-time highs, right? Yeah, all-time highs. So you can see that the daily chart on XLF is breaking out as well. So banks are So you see that the banks are breaking out. So how did we trade it, right? So we know we had our banks, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. Those were all our day 2, day 3 setups. We had those on our watch list, and I've been talking about banks all day this morning community as well. All banks are bullish. Every bank is bullish, and banks were reporting earnings today as well. So let's look at all the banks that we traded. I'm going to look at individual banks we traded, but just want to quickly go through, look at the Citigroup, right? So Citigroup was a long in our community as well. Look at the JP Morgan was a long our day 2 setup. Look at Morgan Stanley. It was initially bearish, but it turned bullish. There was a long. Wells Fargo was a long as well in the communities. So you see that all those were long setups. Goldman Sachs, our number 1 day 2, day 3 setup, was a long as well once it broke out here. I gave these pivots on day 2, day 3 setup, 489, 493. So it broke out of 493, and that's it. 500 psychological break and 506. I think I did mention Goldman Sachs as well, winner in the morning. So big winner as well on the Goldman Sachs, long winner for us in the community as well, right? So the calls really went 120%, and look at this move, guys. It's beautiful, right? So when the sector is strong, guys, you need to nail it. All right, let's look at the next one. We're gonna talk Bank of America, because this was a really nice winner, because it's good for small account, very liquid options. The options trade like they trade like penny stock, low float, right? So what was the plan on Bank of America? Support was 42, resistance was 42.35, bearish to neutral. We will trade versus the pivots, 42.35, right? So what happens when I saw it, the strength in the morning, that Bank of America is holding the clouds. When I see something holding the clouds, I see this bottom wick, that's when I know it's a long. And that's when I told my community long versus 42.20 triggered as well. I was on 43 calls. I told them on the voice, you can do 43 calls or whatever. I don't go too far, but that was the trade. And my target was 43.50. And then, I got 100% on my 43 calls, and then they reached 120% as well. When we reached at 10:30s, and when it was right here, I told everybody roll with the profits. So now you can roll with the profits, because you already made 150%, on those calls. You take some profit and you put it into the further options. So that's why we rolled into the 44s. And from that move, from the 43 move, we pushed all the way to 44.40, 44.50. Now even the 44 calls were up 60-70%. So that's how you maximize the profit, because Bank of America has a small ATR. The options move really nicely. Huge win, Bank of America. Remember, strong sector, hot sector, rotation, good news, bullish. We are in the breakout mode in the whole sector. So you stick with the long, make money while it lasts. That's why we did really good on Bank of America. All right, guys. So next one we're going to discuss is UNH. So what was UNH? UNH was our earnings play, right? It's an earnings season. So I always talk about how we can nail the earnings play. So what was the plan on UNH? Revenue increased, or it was in line, and EPS was beat. So the resistance was 535, support was 518. I already told everyone that I have a bullish bias to long versus 518. So pre-market planning was already provided to everyone in the community. And as soon as I saw the strength, I was on the voice. I told everybody we are good to go. We can long the 535 calls and 540 calls. And as you see, when it held this area, it gave me a confidence, and that's when I said we can long it. And you long it, your risk is somewhere here under this 512 clouds. And then the real trade came at 10 a.m. when there was a flag. You see this? So there was a flag. So if I put like this, you see that there was a flag break right here. You see that was the long as well. And then my target was 540. We met our 540 target. I also gave 544 target. We met that. And then my final target I gave everybody was 548. And we met the 548 target by end of the day. And I told everybody we are swinging this. UNH, another easy win. It's a Dow Jones component. It's a big stock in the market. It moves the market indices. So what a bullish day, guys. We're just lucky to have such a bullish market on the plays except the semiconductors. So really good. All right, let's talk about some losers we had today. And the losers we had today were Amazon and we were Meta. So we were trying to long, right? I mean, in the hindsight, I mean, I should have avoided the longs, but I saw some strength at the open, and I always try to play those amateur moves. So I tried to long Amazon, but I tell you how we used it as a strength later in the day. So I saw Amazon, then I took Meta. So Meta was long versus 500s. I was long at the amateur move. As soon as it broke down 500, I was out. $2 per share loss, 25% on the puts, and then we had on the call, sorry, and then we had Amazon. Amazon also we tried to long here. If I can show you, I was long versus the clouds 933, and at 940 I was out when it broke 512. So we don't let our losers become big. We just get out. That's it. We just move on, right? You see I moved on in 10 minutes out of that trade, and Meta as well. When it broke, I moved on. But on the Meta, I'll tell you, when we were pushing nicely, actually it was working out, but when it gave up, I was out. And then I told everybody watching the cues for short. And this will give us our next trade, how we traded that, the QQQ shorts on the market, because we lost on Amazon Meta. That's fine, right? You see that it's breaking the clouds. We need to give it a shot, right? But look at what Meta did after that, right? Look at what Qs did. So after Meta and Amazon failed, I realized that the rotation is still strong. They are selling Amazon, Meta, Google, Microsoft. They are selling everything. Everything is being sold. And that's why when we pivoted to the short side, that's when I told everybody out of the starter, look for the shorts. And then I was on voice and I was looking for short opportunities, because when Q is breaking right here, these levels, and this is 1 hour EMA, it's breaking down. I know I want to short it, and that QQ short went all the way to 494, and I was personally shorting SMCI, right? So my short was SMCI, because when I saw that we are breaking down, we need to short the market, because these big techs which we tried to long did not work. So we need to shift our analysis to the short side. If I go through all the stocks one by one, look at the Meta short, and I told everybody just short it, and Meta was the fader all day after that. Meta was all day short after that, right? Because people running out of Meta and they are trying to add a different stocks. So look where I got out. I got out of the Meta right here, and you shift to the short size and you make much more money. So you shift to the short size and you take much more money, and you do the same thing in Amazon, you do the same thing in Microsoft, you do the same thing in Microsoft short, and what other shorts were there? Google, you stay short. Look at those shorts on the Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and I told everyone, Meta, Google, Nvidia, AMD, pick your shorts when QQQ bearish. So we lost money, that's fine, but we lost few points. But look at the shorts that you would have made all day. So that's the trade for today. The short, understand it, learn it, master it. Next time this happens, you will make a lot of money, because you will know where to position yourself. When our longs didn't work, we know that we have to position ourselves on the shorts on the mega caps, long on the IWM, short on the mega caps, long on IWM, and long on the banks, short on the mega caps, long in the other sectors, right? So that was the trade, guys. Big winner, although we lost a few longs there, but huge winners on the QQQ, Nasdaq, Meta, Microsoft short for the community. Beautiful day. All right, so I'm just going to discuss SMCI. I mean, I can show you my trade as well, but I did really good on SMCI. I showed when QQQ was dumping. I told everybody that, you can short SMCI. It was short call was on the voice, not at the end, but our target when this happens is always this area, which is MTF clouds, right? You see how we are bouncing on the MTF clouds? So that is the multi-time frame daily EMA, and you think stocks always bounce from those 20 or 50 EMA. So these are my new Ripster MTF clouds. So that's where I covered and I stepped away, right? I made like a nice profits. I had 850s. I bought it from like 16 bucks or 15 bucks, and I sold it over 21 bucks. So it was nothing crazy, like a 30% profits, but you can see the short 900 psychological short on SMCI all the way to MTF Clouds, and you can see my guidance here. My final target was 860, but the problem here was we had this MTF Clouds. So but anyways, this is extension of the mega cap shorts that we did today. And all day if you try to long QQQ, it was really tough. There was some bounce in the end of the day, but mostly QQQ was bearish because we are having this rotation. So what we're going to quickly look at is Reddit. Okay, so Reddit, well, I saw the weakness in the morning. I told everybody short Reddit, you know, and we had it on our game plan as well, I suppose. Yeah, JP Morgan raised the profit target, but remember, sometimes when you raise the profit target, things sell, people find liquidity, right? I told everyone only long if 70 holds, and then 70 did not hold, and that was a short right away from that 70 break all the way to 67 area. That was our MTF Clouds. Another short winner, MTF Clouds, short Reddit. All right, let's talk about Boeing now. So Boeing was another call out that was more of my mentions on on voice, but I did mention it as well in the community as well. So let's see what did I say here on the Boeing. Let's go back and see my morning call outs. Okay, yeah, okay, hold on, but anyways, let's go back here. Look at the game plan. So Boeing, profit target raised by Jefferies, 179 was support, resistance was 180.50. Once 180.50 breaks, you have to long it. You know, you have to long it. Your risk is the clouds. I saw this strength in the 940s. That's when I told everybody on the voice that it is very strong. At 10 a.m. I told everybody that we are testing the MTF Clouds. The moment we break MTF Clouds, Boeing never looked back and just kept on breaking out. Not a single time did it break Ripster EMA Clouds. All day long, huge winner for many traders in the community. Importance to remember here is the power of the MTF Clouds. The power, we know that the tech is selling, right? But Boeing is different. So Boeing is different and it hasn't been beaten down, and there's an upgrade. You have a pivot, you just long it, use the clouds as your risk. Now I gave you additional tools like daily clouds, which give you even better risk reward. Look at how all the clouds have confluence here on BA. Beautiful, high conviction. I did already good in my other trades. I had a nice big day, so I personally did not focus it. Otherwise I would have nailed Boeing, but I'm proud of many traders in the community who nailed it. All right, let's quickly cover FSLR and other solar names. So solar names was on our watch list today. There was FSLR, profit target raised to 282. ENPH was also, you know, profit targets raised. JP Morgan, you know, profit target raised. So all the solar sector was on our watch list basically, right? FSLR was on our watch list. You know, ENPH was on our watch list, and SCHW were on our watch list. So you see that, right? Whatever our pivots are, pause the screen and look at the pivots. 2730, 216, 115, right? Initially SCHW was bullish right from the start. ENPH was, First Solar, which was I trading, was bullish, pulled back to the clouds and went all day. So the solar sector started to push later in the day. If I look at this sector, so you see that the solar, this red light here, red green, it started to push later in the day, so it found strength later in the day. It was decent trade. A lot of guidance on the solar stocks was by RGV in the community. Even I mentioned First Solar to traders as well, but mostly it was on voice. I actually got out, and you know, I missed this big run, but a lot of the traders in community did nail it because I want to focus on this, how the solar came up middle of the day. So that's why we have on the watch list. That's why you focus on those trades and make money on First Solar, right? So you can see that how traders in the community are nailing First Solar. Look at the guidance by RGV. He started from that flag. And he talked about that flag breakout, and all the way he guided everybody through that First Solar trade. All right, let's now look at other trade setups. We're going to look at coin, and we are going to look at MSTR. So I'm not going to spend too much time on coin and MSTR. They were both not bullish right at open. They were both not bullish right at open. So you see that I gave the coin level 238, 244, 244, and MSTR level 1560, 1600. So I gave those. Initially they were bearish. That's fine. That's not where your trade is. Your trade is when we get over the clouds. This is where your trade is, right? And they broke out of the pivots, right? 244, it broke out of 244. That was the long. Broke out of 1600. That was the long. Coin, my target I gave everybody was 250. I also gave 248 flag breakout, and that's it. You know, once the 244 breaks out, you trade it, hold it as long as the clouds hold, and you get nice profit on coin and MSTR. Remember, Bitcoin sector is strong. Remember, I have been talking about Trump, now his VP Vance. They all are big Bitcoin supporters. So don't miss these opportunities. Beautiful trade on coin MSTR. So another trade that was a really nice guidance on the floor by RGV was STT, right? So STT was on our watch list. Another bank, surprise, I mean State Street, it is investment bank. 79.81, 81 was a resistance pivot, no go under 79. So initially it was testing 79, but when it comes back, you wait for 10 a.m. or you wait for amateur move to end. You can always wait for 10 minutes, no big deal, because then this trade becomes much safer and much stress free. So you see how STT was guided by RGV here. Let me show you his initial. So you see when it starts to break out of this pivot, ideally you long here or you long this as well, because my pivot was 79 and my other pivot was 81. So once it starts to break out of those pivots, so you start to long them. So look, see here, right? Once it's got over 81, you long it and you stay long and hold a trend. You can see STT ended up $84, right? So there were your pivots, 81. There was another pivot, 79. So really great call in the trading floor on STT by RGV. All right, let's look at another trade that we had in the community, SCHY. I told everybody bearish bias to short the pops. Support pivot 68, resistance pivot 73.50, bearish bias to short the pops. So you see what happens? Pop into the clouds, shorted. All day fade, SCHW, TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, easy trade. Just pause the screen. There's too much to play today, guys. I'm telling you, right? Just pick anything and it was beautiful setup. Just respect the rules, right? 73.50 resistance pivot. That's where your stop is. If you don't find that stop close by, just use something on the 512 or the lows of the candles from the pre-market. All day short. And when this was breaking down, SCHW, beautiful trade. No buy all day. All right, let's look at quickly look at some day 2, day 3 setups. The setups I'm going to look at is UPST. Not going to spend too much time. So I also posted UPST chart. Yesterday I posted this chart when it was around 30 on the Twitter. Then I also posted, AFRM. So both are these the same stocks. So when IWM is going, when mid cap is getting money flow, these are the trades you should focus on. So if I talk about UPST, you see how it dips, reclaims the cloud and continues to push, right? So that's your trade right here. What was my pivot that I gave on UPST? 3080 and 3280 on AFRM. 3080, once that pivot breaks, you long it. Same for AFRM. Once that pivot breaks, you long it. So yes, you can be faked out on this dip under the cloud, but the trade comes later when we break out here, midday setup. So, and once you are swinging it, it's a swing setup, you focus on your 1 hour charts, right? So you give it like a wider room, not just a smaller room. So another one I'm going to talk about is XBI, guys. It's another we talk about this rotation trades. So I gave this chart idea a few days back. We were trading at 98, 40, 94.81. So that's where we're trading on 94.81. And then we, after that, we pushed into the 100. That was my target of 100 magnet. We broke 100 psychological breakout trade. Then we pushed into 101 50s, and then I'm looking at 103 and 52s. This again, guys, XBI is another rotation, right? When the low rates come in, we see rotation into biotech, right? I discussed it in detail in previous videos. Make sure you watch it. So I just want to discuss this, real estate. stocks, these are the stocks which are great swings and investments in this environment. Zillow, EXPI. This is my watch list I often share with you. I actually shared this few days back, and everything has moved nicely. And then we have Homebuilders. So we have like Homebuilders. So let me see if I can find their list. So see, all of them are going crazy as well in this market. When so much money is flowing, it's not even chasing, because you see that the funds, the whales, everybody is going running behind these rotational sectors, right? If I show you, so look, I will show you, right, what I was talking about, the real estate and home builders. I talked about it on July 12th, right? All these were still, great opportunities in the recent rotations. And look what we are going here. Home builders are up much higher since I talked about. LEN was at 160, now it's trading at 167. DHI was at lower and it's trading higher. So this is what you learn from today's video, guys. Grasp these opportunities, find these sectors, strong sectors. This is the time to make solid money. Even if you swing like few shares here, few shares there, diversify, some in the real estate, some in the home builders, some in the XBI. That's how you make money. If you miss the move, wait for pullback, you will get it. But definitely solid 2 days in the community. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. And if you want to trade with me, join the community. Come for guidance. Do not come for alerts. Take care. Bye-bye.